and welcome to the Power Breakfast Show on Power 102 Digital. Of course, Paul Richards, you just heard him with our news brief. We got Richard Ragobarsingh, we got Ruben in the mix. My name is Steve Khan. We'll keep you company until 9 o'clock this morning, all right? But let's get straight into the meat of the matter. Let's see what's happening traffic-wise on our highways and on our byways. I tell you, yesterday evening was just traffic. I got nothing to tell you about in the south. You got a little bit of traffic as you head towards Sugargournas, and then volume from Charlieville towards the interchange and volume towards Barataria. But just before Swim Call, you've got some traffic there. Trin City to Uwe, you've got it. Arima Old Road on the eastern main road, in that vicinity, you've got some traffic in approaching Macoya. All right, so it's lighter than usual. Let's see who sent us hellos on this Thursday morning. It is the 27th day of April. First off the gate this morning is Ken E. Good morning to Ken E. Followed by Maria Marva, Trevor Narima, Garth Celia in Valencia, DJ Ray out in Tampa. Good morning. D. Pierre, Miss Ingrid in Tucson, Arizona, Oliver Manwarin, CJ New York, Carol Guevara, Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida. Good morning to you as well. Hope you guys had a great evening. Actually, it was nice and cool here in Trinidad and Tobago. Taking a look at Thames, it's telling me it's 25 degrees at Piarco International Airport and 24 at Crown Point in Tobago. Let's see if the Met Office has updated their weather forecast for today. I checked a little while ago, but we didn't have it, and they have not updated it as well. All right, but taking a look at some temps across our listenership and viewership, because we stream on all platforms. You knew that already. In Washington D.C., you're double digits at 10. Good morning to Chris Toussaint. Of course, Chris did send me a message. He wants to wish the folks out at let's see, Tunapuna Secondary class of 1979 on their way to Tobago for a class reunion while you were stuck in D.C. So good morning to the class of 79 for Tunapuna Secondary. Tampa, you're at 20. London, 12. Atlanta, 13. New York, you're at 10. Orlando, 21. Miami, 23. And, of course, Toronto, you're at 2 degrees. All right? Let me say good morning, good night to you, Paul Richards. What's happening, my friend?
Morning, Steve. Morning, everyone.
I hope you had a dry evening.
Yeah, I did, but a lot of people didn't.
No, and water is rising.
And there's concern about parts. La Pile Village is experiencing some difficulties, as you see in the video there. That part of the Caroni Bank near La Pile Village, as of last night, seems to burst the dam so we can move.
Turn your bang boss again.
Yep.
Yeah. So and that was last night. So I'm hoping that it hasn't gotten worse as of last night.
Yeah.
Kind of thing,
Because we've had some chance of rain, but on my way to the Pet Butler yesterday afternoon, a downpour came down. It was hard. I said, wow, this is some serious rain. And it was, of course, it was island-wide.
There was a lot of rain continued yesterday.
Yeah.
This is more video from La Pile Village. It is on the Caroni River that residents came out last night, of course, with deep concern, because the water is flowing into the streets, as you can see. And that was last night, so I don't know what the situation is this morning.
Yeah, and I know the Caroni was extremely high. I got some footage of that yesterday. Well, La Pile Village, folks, is in Caroni. Just thought I'd let you know that. But yeah.
So,
it's a
we hope they're okay.
I don't even
Morning
know.
is so young. So
Morning
that's what
pool?
you're seeing there.
Oh, it's a young, yes.
That's La Pile Village as of last night about 8 9 p.m. So I don't know if it's subsided, if it continued to rise. We haven't got any information yet. So we try to get onto the regional corporation and or the mayor of Chaguanas and or the PM to find out if that situation has abated or if it continued to pose risk in any way, form
Mm-hmm.
or fashion. You know, I mean, a lot of rain, lot of rain. I'm sure the water. Well, we know the water tables are extremely saturated at this.
Yes.
So, morning, Michael Grandison. Have a great day, Sankofa. Have a great day. Yeah. So, that must be some kind of turmoil in their minds when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Not an easy situation to deal with at all,
No,
kind of thing. So,
it's not.
wish them all the best that they're warm and dry this morning.
Yeah, I don't even know when it's high tide. My office is not updated there. Yeah, forecast or anything, not since yesterday. But
Yeah.
a friend of mine said try the Bajan Met Services. I went to that Barbados Met Services, and their website app is in comparison to TNT is like night and day. Night,
Is it that good? Does it mean it's
yeah,
good?
yeah. I'm seeing all the different radars. I'm seeing cloud cover. You know, you should check it out. Just Google Barbados Met Services, and you'll see it. It's like night and day,
Hmm.
mind
Well, good
you.
morning to those areas that are located along the banks of the Caroni River, particularly
Mhm.
those at risk, and a Pile Village and other areas that are at risk or may have been uh, had some concerns last night
Mhm.
when that water was slipping over the banks of the Caroni. We spoke at length to Minister of Works and Transport, Rohan Sinanan, yesterday, who indicated that over 500 desilting projects were on the way and that they were dealing with it. Well, I mean, with this kind of rain, there's only so much you could do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really cater for all the rain that we got in the last 2 3 days.
Yeah, in this dry season.
Well, yeah, it's supposed to be dry season anyway,
Yeah,
but there's a phrase called April showers. So
bring me flowers,
we've had
and for Wendell,
instances
bring June brides.
like this before. So we wish them the best and hope that it doesn't get worse.
Yeah, let's hope so. All right, 13 minutes after the hour is 6 o'clock. Of course, Richard Ragobarsingh will join us shortly. Just a reminder of our morning poll from yesterday, which you just have a few minutes, approximately 30, 35 minutes again to vote on. Our poll was, do you think that the government and the opposition should take up the offer from Gary Griffith to discuss crime?
But the plan is no the question is no longer valid because Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said yesterday in Parliament in the House of Representatives that he has no interest in working with Gary Griffith in that regard.
Let me tell you,
But given what he knows as the head of the National Security Council, hmm,
hmm
yeah. So that's what he said. I'll try to get the clip for you all.
yeah, okay. As far as I'm concerned, this crime is out of control. Two people murdered, a watermelon vendor, a shrimp vendor by the county roundabout yesterday afternoon, where two gentlemen jumped out of a black Teeter and opened fire and drove off. As far as I am concerned, I would talk to anybody. It doesn't matter in order to get this
Well,
crime situation down. That is
well,
my
if
perspective
you
on it.
saw the Dr. Rowley's verbal missive yesterday, his missive, uh, it seems that there's more in water than the pestle is what I will say.
But still, let's take that double murder out of the equation. It's out of control.
No, I'm talking about with regard to the offer
Gary,
by Gary Griffith and the refusal of the Prime Minister to engage Gary Griffith in that way.
I don't want to hear talk no more. I just want to see action.
Well,
Because
the
personally, for
Trinidad and
me,
Tobago Police Service has a new crime plan called Violet, which the Minister of National Security referenced when asked about crime yesterday in the House of Representatives. So I don't know what the Violet crime plan. Let me give you the tenets of the Violet crime plan, right? And I'll read the story so that you get context. Minister of National Security Fitzgerald Hines. Yes, no, right? Let me get it. It just went down for a second. Minister of National Security Fitzgerald Hines says he's been given a Violet crime reduction plan prepared by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Speaking during Parliament yesterday, he said the police were deeply concerned about the rising murder rate across TNT and had formulated a violent, I keep saying violent crime reduction plan. I apologize, of which he had a copy. He said the plan focuses on, among other things, dismantling criminal gangs, seizing illegal firearms, eradicating drug blocks, precision policing, and increasing focus on transnational organized crime. They actually gave some targets, which is commendable. He said they hope to achieve a 20% reduction in homicides and a 30% reduction, a 30% detection rate. Detection rate is just between 15 and 18% now. It's very low. I ain't see nothing new in that plan. Let me just say.
should I just choose now or just don't do it?
I ain't hear nothing new in that plan. That has been the plan for the last couple of years. So whether or not they have a new approach to achieving those objectives, maybe that's what's new. But me hearing nothing new.
Let me tell you, Paul. This week, as I told you in the newsroom the other day, there was a robbery within downtown Port of Spain. Now, folks that I know, they called the police. It was a robbery, blah, blah, blah. 2 hours before the police arrived. This is downtown, eh? 2 hours before the police arrived on scene.
Well, maybe they were busy, Steve.
Yeah, they were busy.
I will tell you.
Yeah, they were busy. Good
Maybe they
morning,
were busy.
Kazim Mohammed, Marcia Rock, Ray, good morning to you. Sak, good morning to you as well. Rina Bodu Jennings, Ms. Maloney, good morning. Yeah, they were busy, Paul. They were busy, definitely busy. I just want to see action now because I am
Well,
just.
I don't want to see action, you know. I want to see results.
Well, let's go with that then. Let's see the
I don't
results.
want to see action.
I don't want to hear no lip.
I
We
want to
have
see
a
results.
plan and
So I
we
want
had plans
time
since.
to talk and crime plan promises and new crime plan and operation this and operation that
Yeah,
done.
remember Operation Anaconda, which came out
That
under
worked. So
Howard
I
Chinley, Ministry of National Security, donkey years ago. I wasn't born yet, I was saying. Yeah, everything is a plan. We have a plan. We have a plan. Let's see the results of those
well,
plans. Don't tell me
yeah, I don't
plan.
want to hear about
I
none
just
of
want to. You're right.
about
We should
new
really let's see
crime
the
plan.
results.
I don't want to see no crime plan at this point. I want to see the results
No.
of a crime plan. So that's what you're there for. Well, of course, and pray. Don't forget. Make sure you pray.
Yeah. Valsani area. They are seeing on both north and south. I was by a friend this week, and they're saying they're seeing all kind of weird-looking cars just driving slowly on the roads.
But they've put up barricades because our friends in Valsane.
Yeah.
And the issue with Valsane is that since the interchange has gone up, the path from what do you call it, Super Farm, through to the back of Valsine, down south and across Green Spring, etc., into the exit through where you could get by the roundabout there, has become a thoroughfare in terms of traffic. And I run, interestingly enough, I mean, predictably, that is the main area where the robberies have taken place along that path.
Yeah.
So they put up this guard booth and barrier now. I don't know how legal it is, quite frankly, because it's a public road.
The,
You
you
understand?
haven't driven in West Trinidad. They putting up gated communities without permission and without permission. Put it that way.
Well, I don't know that without permission. I don't know
I know
that.
one guy that they put up a gate and they sent in for approval to Diego Martin Regional Corporation. They did not get it, and they put up a gate. And he said, "Well, let's see the permission." And they say, "Have none." He said, "Well, that's it. I'm not putting any money towards this until I see that we have approval." What are you gonna
Yeah,
do?
a lot of people are doing it because of desperation. But that
They're
doesn't mean it's
desperate,
legal.
yes.
That don't mean it's legal because it's a
No,
public road.
it's a public road.
Yeah, so I don't know what the situation in Valentine is.
Yeah.
South is because I remember many years ago, that place in Highland Park they put up a barrier too, and I
Hmm.
was going to visit a friend and they put a security guard at the barriers and I said, he said, "Where are you going?" I said, "That's none of your business." And he said, "Well, you can't come in here." I said, "Why? This is a public road."
Hmm.
I said, "Would you like me to call the police?" And he raised the barrier.
But I remember there was a guard. Same
And I
thing.
understand the desperation. Don't get me wrong. I understand the desperation of people to protect the lives of
Oh,
their family. But
I
you can't
clearly
break the law to
understand
do
it.
that.
No. I remember one time, this happened a few years ago, same guard booth kind of thing, and the guy shot the guard. I believe he survived, but they shot at him.
Yeah, I just said, I said we can call the police, and police can come and raise the barrier if you want, because I
Yeah.
know this is a public road. It may be a big short area, but it's a public road,
Hmm.
and you have no business asking me where I'm going. None.
Yeah. And when I was leaving, it
It's
was
not a
only,
gated community. It's a public road at that
yeah,
time anyway. I don't know if that changed now.
and people putting up security officers by their house, and
But those who could afford it,
those that can afford it will do it. You know, once you have the
Arangways,
means, yes.
the Arangways residents have taken to proposing to hire a new security firm at the cost of $50,000 a month. But I mean, it's because they don't have any. Well, because they feel that they need to augment the work of the police. Let me say it that way.
Yeah.
It's
And
people are
remember,
frustrated and frightened, and people are losing their lives and getting beat up in their houses. Their children, teenagers, getting hit with gun butts and stuff. So I fully understand it. I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
look what happened in Penal this week.
yeah. But not only penal; it's just widespread.
And that's what
Penal
I was going to
was
say.
a flashpoint.
Before crime was it in this area. Now it's
Where we used to feel comforted with the hotspot mindset. It's only in the hotspot,
only in the hotspot, but now it's
but
just
not
everywhere.
anymore.
No, it's not.
Look at
It's
the
not.
woman in thing where they drove in behind her and robbed her that we showed the video last week.
Yeah. A home invasion in the Valsin area about a month ago, 6 weeks ago, at
No,
10 o'clock
Steve.
in the morning.
Steve, home invasions are happening every weekend in Valsay, not a month
Yeah.
ago.
No,
People are driving in behind you in Valsay when
yeah.
up to last week, someone was driving into their driveway and the car followed them in. There were two cars actually, according to the reports from my friend.
Mhm.
One was in the area and one was driving around, and when the one followed the person into the driveway and blocked them, the other car pulled up and provided support, criminal support.
Mhm.
So
My my friend who came out of our, and this is the next big one, the banks, when you come out to the banks, um, left the bank in Rookery went along circular, picked up something, came back, and he was robbed. And there were two cars out of Long Circular Mall that came. Because when they robbed them, two cars just left in a faster manner. The bank's the next issue. If you're being followed, people saying with the tellers,
every aspect of your life now, eh?
I don't know. Same thing just ran through my mind. What do we do, boy? Are we safe buying doubles when we go? I don't know. It's sad that we keep regurgitating the same thing over and over and over, and and all we hearing is we have a plan. I was handed
New
a
crime plans
plan.
are anything new.
It's called Violet now.
Anti-violent. It was not violent, but it was my mistake. It's
No, was it
anti-violent.
anti-violet?
anti-violence.
Oh, anti-violent. I don't say anti-violent. She could
I was
well
I
put
was making that mistake. I didn't know I was reading that.
anti-violence crime.
Violent crime reduction plan. A violent crime reduction plan.
I don't know.
So we see how that goes. I don't kill me because I don't get too excited because
No, no,
of
no, 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 no. I
a
know, I know.
plethora of
You can't
crimes.
say that these days, Paul. Don't kill me.
Hmm?
You can't say that these days,
Can't say
Don't
what?
kill me for saying so. You can't say that these days.
True. Don't hold it
Can't.
against me for saying right. I'm not too excited um, by the announcement of a crime. We'd like you to hit the subscription button and activate notifications when we post new content on Power to Digital YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
So hit that subscription button right now and share it with your friends. Those of you on Facebook, share it with your friends. As they say, share the live, share the live, share the live.
Share the lie.
And share to your friends, particularly across the globe in the diaspora.
Yeah.
We're happy to have you on board this morning. Let me share a video with you. This guy, they're calling him Bob.
My name is Bob. They call me Bob. And let me just let the folks know. And you sent the video this morning that on the southbound Uriah, a car is off into the ditch. So I'm not seeing it here on my traffic thing, but so if you find that there's a little traffic, that's why. By Carney River. Go ahead, Paul. Shit.
Yeah. So remember the situation with the Porsche Cayenne,
The Porsche kayak, yes.
where the man, the bright man, he said, I saw an interview with him online. He said he always gets into some adventure in Trinidad and Tobago when I come down here.
Yeah, with his cousin.
With his cousin, my cousin. So they're calling him Bob.
My name is Bob.
And that's so kind name after it. So this is Bob opening the car.
Yeah, that was a revenge side. That guy's a wreck.
Yeah, this is Bob.
That's Bob?
Bob
No,
the
that's not Bob.
Who is
Bob
that?
is of Caucasian.
No, Bob wasn't Caucasian, Steve.
You sure?
Bob
But look at the
didn't seem
amount. But look at the
Caucasian.
amount of that water coming out.
Bob
Of
didn't
that
seem
Porsche kayak.
Caucasian to me. It's very irrelevant what Bob is. But
Okay,
this
yeah,
is
it
this
is.
is the car being opened and the aftermath of taking the really stupid decision
Yeah, that was a stupid decision.
to drive through floodwaters, which luckily derailing by the side of the road saved them from being dumped, slid into the river, which would have been even more dangerous than
Yeah,
the
because now the car could have gone down. It could have flipped.
stupid decision to drive through the
Stupid.
floodwaters. You know, quite. Look at that. I mean, and that's after a lot of water came out already. Yeah.
Yeah, because he had opened the back door previously.
Yeah. So I mean, this is a word to you all. Don't drive through floodwaters. That's a classic case where we could learn something from someone else's poor decision. Do not drive through floodwaters. Okay? Yeah, so the question this morning will be clearly, do you think the new TTPS crime plan will achieve its 30% reduction in murders, illicit homicides, and 30% detection rate? That'll be our question later on this
Yeah,
morning.
I'm going to make a bet what the results
The
are.
Minister of National Security says he has a copy of this crime plan. Ooh. I mean, when you get to the point where you don't even have confidence.
That's sad. That's sad.
Yeah.
That is sad. When you reach
Well-
the point, we have no confidence. That is sad.
I think so many promises have been made
Whew.
over the years. You know?
I wanted to play that song and the promises. But I don't know. I really don't know. And to the family of those two that were killed yesterday in Caroni, condolences to you all. I saw the video of the gentleman. I'm sorry for him, but he had a full arm cast. Yeah.
A judgment came down yesterday. I don't know, which is going to cost taxpayers a lot of money again. I got the judgment in the High Court of Justice, CV 2022 4567B. Thomas versus the AG, and this is the final judgment in the High Court. I don't know if they'll take it higher than this. And I'll read a Newsday synopsis of it. A High Court judge has permanently stayed the criminal charges against firearms leader Brent Thomas.
Yes, I was reading that.
In a strongly worded decision, Justice Devendra Ramprasad also had very harsh words for the TT Police Service for securing warrants for Thomas's arrest and the manner in which he was saying, when looked at in the round, it was a complete and utter stripping away of Thomas's dignity and reputation and of his business, Specialist Training Center, Shooters Training Center, with the clear objective of plummeting and humiliating the first claimant with a search warrant after search warrant and September arrest and the October abduction, all to obviously bring him to his knees. The judge's comments came in his ruling on a claim filed by Thomas over his prosecution for firearm-related offenses. Justice Ramprasad is expected to assess damages in the various breaches, and Newsday was told it could amount to millions as the police actions, which were condemned by the court and basically led to the shutting down of his dealership.
Yeah,
Thomas was
it's closed.
arrested on September 29, 2022, and later released. He was rearrested in Barbados, from where he intended to travel to Miami to meet his cardiologist. He said he was forcibly returned to Trinidad. He was later charged with possession of a series of weapons, including grenades and rifles. In his constitutional motion, he challenged his detention and the procurement of search warrants for his home and dealership. In the judgment, it was identified that he'd sold to TT Police and other agencies in the Ministry of National Security over years, and had a credible firearms business, and that these are my words here, this arrest was basically unconstitutional, and the judge has ruled in his favor and is now to assess damages. Now, the damages is one thing. The damages will more than likely include the legal fees for the state, the senior counsel representing the state and his team, and Mr. Thomas's attorneys, because of the action of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Some of your money is going to be paid because of this action by the TT Police Service.
Well, they're hard-earned money, yeah?
So,
Trying to make ends meet.
you know, you just have to shake your head, yes?
I
And,
think
and the judgment is quite lengthy, and the police are severely chastised by the judge for their actions and the way they carried about their duty. You see, this is meant to strip him of his dignity and constitutional rights. And you see, we always say, police have a lot of power,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why they need to be held to account very often, because the power they have, they could literally shut down your life.
And I mean, I know where his place is. It's right there. And I pass it at least twice a week. It's completely shut down.
Well,
He,
and
he had a
he
business, and
is
because of this,
assertion also is
oh,
that the actions of the police were meant to shut down his life and his business. So, I mean, and public confidence issue, or maybe it is, Steve, what you and I are doing here is fueling the public's fear of crime, according to the senior police officer. Maybe that's what we're doing here. Maybe we are fueling
yes, that's it, Paul.
perceptions in crime, by talking about the judgment, the final judgment in the High Court of Trinidad and Tobago, and the police misaction or poor
Yeah.
choices of action. Maybe what we are doing here is fueling the public's fear of crime, because we have an agenda.
Yes, we do.
We have something to gain
It's us.
as media by fueling the public perception of crime, with public fear of crime. We will benefit in some tangible way from this. I have never heard such utter nonsense. Before you go and do your job properly and bring some of your colleagues who are corrupt to bear, you blaming the public. Look, as they say, miss me, ease me up. Nope. Sorry, but not sorry. So we see how the new anti-violent crime reduction plan goes. Crime number 30456B. That will come down to the ready matter with the acronym is before it.
Oh,
I mean, we making light of it, but you have to, because if you don't, you'll walk around in such a paranoid state that you wouldn't know what to do.
yeah.
I mean, I know how I drive now. I drive like a paranoid fool.
Well, you
You know, when you go into the driver, my eyes are on the car on the gate until the gate slides closed.
yeah.
Because I don't know who following you. You're on the road, you see a car behind you for 5 minutes too long, you start to get jittery.
You do,
And that's how we're living. I mean, you can't even sit down in your veranda with your family and enjoy some breeze anymore. You have to lock up behind a cage.
Yeah. And people have been killed sitting behind the veranda with their
Yeah.
family.
So for those of you now logging on, the police have a new violent crime reduction plan. Minister of National Security Fitzgerald Hines says he has a copy of it. He says the plan focuses on dismantling criminal gangs, check, seizing illegal firearms, check, eradicating drug blocks, check, precision policing, and increasing focus on transnational organized crime, all of which I've heard before. But we will keep hope alive and
Round
hope
and
that
round, round
there's
and
there's some progress made with this new crime plan. Right, the 2-day symposium, regional symposium on crime as a public health issue, cost taxpayers $1.5 million.
Oh,
This
yeah.
disclosed by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley in the House of Representatives yesterday. Well, when you host several regional leaders, I mean, it's not going to be cheap. You have to house them,
That's not going to be cheap.
feed
That's
them,
not
you
going
have
to be
to
cheap.
PR it, you have to do the audio visual, you have to rent the hire. I mean, we will see if it bears fruit.
Meal plan, drinks plan, all those are
Watson
I can
Duke
see that.
says he believes the progressive Democrat patriots still remain relevant in the political arena, despite several members, of course, led by Fali Augustine, resigning, is it last year or this year? Recently.
Recently. Let's go with that.
And
I've been trying to call Farley for the longest while.
forming their new party. You're not a TV station, Steve. What's wrong? Fali's not going to take you.
We
Fali
streaming video.
Before Fali became chief secretary, Fali used to take you on all the time.
Boy,
Fali
I
had
used
time
to
with you
call,
again.
he used to call, now I call in.
Don't worry. I will say, election cycle come around again.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it for 30 odd years. When they are not riding high, they are very available.
And then when I tell them no, they get vexed with me. No, I can't do it that day, No, we can't do the interview on that day. Oh, how about that day? No, I can't do it there.
It is not even innovative on you. It's typical. Right? So be it. I mean, he has the right not to answer his phone or answer his phone to who he wants. I saw him on TV6 last week, I think it is, with Marlon Hopkinson. So maybe we're not big enough anymore. But don't worry. I am very patient. So I will say I'm patient. So Duke said he thought the PDP was still relevant in the country's political arena. Well, I didn't even feel the issue with Fali Augustine and the others who resigned and formed the new party is the issue with Duke that led to his party losing significant credibility, in my opinion. I think the Kizell Jackson bacchanal, I can't call it time brutally, I can't make it sound posh. And Duke in underwear on a bed with somebody filming him and Kizell Jackson's utterances and his Facebook Live response to Kizell Jackson did more damage to Watson Duke and the PDP than anything Fali Augustine and the resignations did. I think that is what did Watson Duke in. But I mean, I will say that Watson Duke is not somebody to be underestimated. And
Ebony Jewel Star says, Folly's home minding baby.
But Fali is more than minding baby. Fali is telling Dr. Roddy to mind his business.
Yeah.
And
Good morning. Sorry.
I see Reginald Dumas has commented and saying that he thinks that Fali's utterances could damage the Tobago autonomy, move progress.
Maybe I should give him a call.
And as somebody, I guess Fali is relatively young. What is young? In the political world, he's very young. A relative newcomer. So I guess as a newcomer, he needs to learn the art of temperance. And not jumping off, in response like a petulant child in your position of chief secretary, which is a significant position of the Tobago House of Assembly. I think you need to be a little more measured and understand that, and more statesmanlike,
Yes.
and there are different ways to respond to the prime minister and tell him, well, this really has little to do with you,
Yeah.
then mind your damn business, which is a bit intemperate to me. The madness in the U.S. has continued. I don't know. One escaped prisoner has died and 3 others are on the run in the U.S. state of Mississippi. One of the escapees, Dylan Harrington, is believed to have murdered a man and stolen his truck. I mean, this is... the U.S. and these guns and now
Yeah, boy.
prisoner escape and well, a manhunt is on. I don't know if it's still on, but it was on up till last night.
And there's another story. I'm just trying to get it here now. So hear this story, yeah? 6 Washington, D.C. fire and EMS workers have been suspended for a brawl that happened between them at the site of an emergency. DC
What?
fire, DC fire and emergency workers suspended because after they were dispatched to a health emergency as the closest unit, stopped to pick up their lunch, which they had previously ordered. Other units that were further away got to the incident before them. They had a fight. Imagine, call 999. Yeah, okay.
Good morning to Carl Jack. Carl Jack says, Coach Charles need to train him better. Coming from that point, Carl and others, Coach Roy Charles, Dr. Vaness James, and many others in Tobago had been very supportive of Fali as seeing him as a great potential leader, and I understand in talks with him even before the THA elections and were guiding him and stuff like that. And he was having meetings with them as elders and stuff like that. And they need to, Carl is absolutely right, Carl Jack, that they need to have a conversation with Fali to offer mentorship moving forward. Because I still think Fali has a lot of potential. But it seems typical of people with inexperience and ending up in those significant positions. The inexperience is playing off. The comment about the licensing officers when they were just doing their job, you understand? And stuff like that shows his political immaturity. And I think he has real good potential, but he needs to be a lot more temperate in his demeanor. You can't just respond to everything everybody says. Look where that got Gary Griffith, who I still think had more to offer as a commissioner of police. But of course, you end up in a bacchanal with the person who basically put you there, the prime minister through the cabinet and the parliament. And you end up in a bacchanal, the man put you there and didn't realize 3 years is fly fast.
Very fast,
You understand? Didn't realize how fast 3 years elapse. 3 years elapses. And then you end up, well, guess who had to put you back there? And now you're offering help to the same person who's saying, oh, no thank you. No thank you at all. So, word to the wise. Sometimes it's best just to shut up,
Be quiet. Just stay quiet.
Silence sometimes is such a golden thing,
Virtue.
You know, just sit down. You'd have to respond to everything, right? Ebony is saying, Paul, you had to be there to see what those licensing officers were doing. They are state-sponsored bodies. Ebony, I wish you could call us to explain that in more detail. Because I don't have context to what you're saying, but you know. Um, Good morning, Mr. Ragobarsingh.
Good morning, guys. And good morning to our listeners, wherever you are. Morning,
Well,
Rich.
since you're no longer, you better have papers.
I do have
Yeah.
papers, actually. He has
Or
papers.
Hawk. And doubles for Steve.
No, I don't have that. Oh, gosh, man. I
It's
don't have.
6:45. The
All right.
question we'd proffered is there's a new
Okay, I'll be back in.
anti-violent crime reduction plan, a brand new violent crime reduction plan by the TTPS.
Has
And
it been
we're
revealed?
suggesting, which has targets, which is great. Targets are always great. It proffers a 30% reduction in homicides. I said, let me make it. I think that's inaccurate. I think it's a 30% reduction in homicides. Let me make sure. A 20% reduction in homicides and a 30% detection rate. So the question proposed is, do you think that the new violent crime reduction plan will bear this fruit, will meet this target?
Is it violent? The new anti-violent
You know,
reduction
the
crime.
violent crime reduction, you see, it's so clumsily worded that I made mistakes in
Okay.
earlier on. A violent crime reduction. So in other words, violent crime reduction.
Violent crime reduction plan.
Yes, it's reducing violent crime.
Has it been
Right?
released, though? Or
Yeah,
just.
the Minister of National Security said he had a copy of it and he spoke about it in Parliament yesterday. So that is enough release for me.
Okay.
Well, that is what tell us what he's told us what the plan, what parts of the plan has. So I mean, we had to take the minister's word for it. He's the Minister of National Security, the line minister for the police service. So go ahead, and that's our proposed question for this morning, Mr. Ragobarsingh. Welcome, sir.
So do you think that do you think that the
The new
TTPS
TTPS crime plan will achieve its
new
20%
violent
reduction in
crime
murders,
reduction plan will achieve?
achieve its 20% reduction in murders and 30% detection rate. Because they put targets in it, which is great, I think. Targets are always good. It'll come up on the screen. We have modern technology, Ragobarsingh.
Yeah, yeah, but it takes somebody to be typing it.
It's there already, sir. There you go. Watch. Don't be rude and intemperate. It's there. Excuse me. We don't wait for you to do things here.
Oh, okay. I'm seeing that it's coming up on the general screen. I'm not seeing it on ours.
Well, it's being broadcast, sir.
Yeah.
Right? So do the
All
papers
right.
and stop
Yeah, let me do
giving
the
trouble now.
newspapers. So I will start off with the Newsday. And the newspaper today, the headline moves to wipe out train line. Murder victims' relative, community a target for gunmen. Moves to wipe out train line. That's the headline that the Newsday went with. And of course, this connects to the murder of that vendor yesterday in Caroni, who was also from train line. So they're saying it's a move. There are several murders out of train line, and I don't know if people know this, but several people have been murdered in different circumstances. So that's the headline that the Newsday went with. Other subheadlines: 23 convicted killers to be resentenced, and well, the main picture is that of the murder of that watermelon vendor yesterday. Pictures of that scene. And on the back page of the Newsday today, Eve keenly following local football, but says Premier League still too slow. And Fatima romp into PowerGen T20 final. So that's the front and the back page of the Newsday. So now you know about the Newsday headlines for today. I'm moving on to the Daily Express for today. And just in case you didn't know, today is Thursday, April 27th. So we're just a few days before the end of the month. National Security Minister receives 15 new crime fighting strategies from the TTPS. Crime plan in Hines' hand. That's the headline. Crime plan in Hines' hand. Rowley, Blanks, Gary, and Kamla. That's also part of the headline.
Sinanan admits rainy season will be challenging. And the main picture is of Minister Hines speaking with some other people. I can't identify them right now. Maybe if I put on my glasses, I could. And on the back page of the Newsday, Advantage Team Weeks, King McCaskey rules on centuries. And that's it. That's it. The only thing that they have on the back page, basically. So that's it for the Daily Express today. Trinidad and Tobago Guardian, front page. East Indians under attack. Pundit raises race card in Aranguez crime spree. Yes, he did, because I saw that yesterday on news.
So unfortunate.
And blames miscreants from East-West corridor.
I mean, it can't get more pointedly racist than that.
And so that's on the front page.
The subtext is palpable.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
When you watch the news item, but when you watch it was a news item last night. $1.5 million bail for 7 cops on corruption charge. That's another headline. PM blanks Griffith's call for anti-crime talks. And that's it for the front page of the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian. And on the back page, McCaskey and Brandon miss centuries. And that's it for our 3 dailies this morning.
All right. Thank you so much, Richie Rich. And let me give you the results of our morning poll that we asked you yesterday. Do you think that the government and the opposition should take up the offer from Gary Griffith to discuss crime? That was our poll yesterday. Give you the results after
This evening, Pan Army, composed by Len Booksy Sharp and Franklin Oliveri, sung by Colonel Roberts, the arranger, Len Booksy Sharp.
No, that's what I pulled up here. That's what they have the same name.
Okay, Steve.
Hold on, I'll get the ad here because it has the same name. I have 2 ads with the same.
You always have an excuse, sir. He couldn't press the wrong button.
No, there's two with the same name.
2 items with the same name.
All right, yeah.
Then
Okay. I have it now. Had to look at the time.
Just say you made a mistake, Steve.
I made a mistake.
Hey! It's a steel band jam and party in the village. Yes, Hardcore Phase 2 presents Desper Steel Orchestra, Republic Band Exodus, and Hardcore Phase 2 Pangrove with Dr. Len Bugzisha. And the party is with me, yours truly, Mr. Q. It all happens at 13 Hamilton Street in Woodbrook, starting time 8 p.m. Admission is only $60, so see and be there. And the date, the 29th of April, 2023. Hey! Phase 2. We coming.
It was kind of related. All right, so the results.
First there were going to be 2 items, but they the same thing, so it was kind of related. Steve, I made a mistake. Steve, I pressed the wrong button.
It's Phase 2.
Just say I pressed the
I
wrong
had
button.
to punch any number instead of the name. All right, so the results again. Do you think that the government and the opposition should take up the offer from Gary Griffith to discuss crime? Well, 76% said yes. All right, 76% said yes. All right, let's get into this morning's poll.
So our question this morning is, do you think the new TTPS crime plan will achieve its 20% reduction in murders and 30% detection rate? The detection rate is about 20 or 18%, if I'm not mistaken. They want to raise that, or they aim to raise that, and the new crime plan is aimed at reducing homicides, murders by 20%. So the question is, do you think the new TTPS crime plan will achieve its 20% reduction in murders and 30% detection rate? Yes or no?
All right,
targeting reduction in detection rate.
Increasing detection rate.
30%.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, 222-8255. North Americans got a toll-free number for you, 866-525-1099 on YouTube and on our app and website at power102fm.com. Tell us what you think? Yes or no? Or Paul, once again, Paul.
Do you think the new TTPS crime plan will achieve its 20% reduction in murder and 30% detection rate? Yes or no?
There you go, folks. So let's get into it. Touch my tones. Launch Park says no. Ken E says no. My good friend Ish out in Malik, long time no see, Ish says no. Good morning to you, Edwin Marshall. Beefy Smith says no, but I do hope that they prove me wrong. Thank you so much, Beefy. Mr. Carapo, the answer is no. CJ out in New York says nope. All right. Stretch. Yes, one must be hopeful. All right, I hear you. Good morning, caller. What says you?
Good morning. I said, no, a 20% reduction is still almost 500 murders per year, you know. And I've heard things about dismantling gangs before. Nothing has changed, really. It's just smokes and mirrors. Okay.
We have all heard it before. We have all. All right. 222-8255. Toll free North Americans 866-525-1099. Do you think that the new TTPS crime plan will achieve its 20% reduction in murders and 30% detection rate? Yes or no? We have a new crime plan. Let's see. Miss Ingrid, morning to you, Miss Ingrid. My answer to the poll is absolutely not. Lorna, morning, Carly, morning, Indy. Let you know, Richie Rich, that Lorna and Carly and Indy, especially Carly, they are coming to your play this weekend at Cipriani College. This little piggy.
Oh, okay, great.
They'll be coming up. But Lorna says nope. All right. I understand Carly really wants to see that play. Let's see. All right. Oopsie. Let's see. Miss Bonaire West says, good morning, gentlemen. Says no. Thank you, Miss Bonaire West. 222-8255, 612-8255. North Americans, toll free, 866-525-1099. Do you think that the new TTPS crime plan will achieve 20% reduction in murders and 30% detection rate? Yes or no? What says you? It's a new crime plan. It's another one. It's another one. What's it called? Anti-violence something. I kind of like the anti-violent.
It's not anti-violence. It's called the Violent Crime Reduction Plan.
All right. What says you? All right. 2 minutes before the hour of 7 o'clock. A lot of people voting online already. I got 100% saying no so far. That's going to change. All right. Leonard Naipaul, yeah, says big no. Yeah.
So do you think that the TTPS new violent crime reduction plan will what is this?
Achieve
word? Hold on here.
20% reduction in murders
Oh my
and
goodness, I
30%
couldn't-
in detection
yeah.
rate. Of course, Leonard Naipaul is out of North Carolina. Never been there. Understand
So
it.
do you think that the new TTPS violent crime reduction plan will achieve its 20% reduction in murders and 30% target in detection, in its detection rate. Right.
All right. Good morning, caller.
So
Good
we
hi,
look,
good morning.
Morning.
morning, Mrs. R.
Morning, my love. Morning, my breath of fresh air. Yeah, morning, Steve. My answer. You like to do people laugh? You like to do people laugh? Take that. My answer is I want to have faith, so I'm gonna say yes. I want to say yes. I'm leaning towards yes.
Okay.
Long
do you-
Islander says, until they get rid of corrupt cops, nothing will change. No. Oliver Man Warren. Nope. Miss, thank you, Lorna. Miss Ingrid says, talk, talk, talk. Muga says, good morning, Stephen Crew. No. Checking online here. All right. Okay. Let's get into our 7 o'clock news. Coming up in 30 seconds time.
Hey! Trinidad and Tobago is a steel band jam and party in the village. Yes, Hardcore Phase 2 presents Desper Steel Orchestra, Republic Band Exodus, and Hardcore Phase 2 Pangrove with Dr. Len Bugsy Shah. And the party is with me, yours truly, Mr. Q. It all happens at 13 Hamilton Street in Woodbrook, starting time 8 p.m. Admission is only $60, so see and be there. And the date, the 29th of April, 2023. Hey! Phase 2, we coming!
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Minister of National Security Fitzgerald Hines says he has been given a violent crime reduction plan prepared by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley willing to meet with the opposition on crime once it is serious, but not Gary Griffith. Watson Duke believes he and the Progressive Democratic Patriots still remain relevant in the political arena, and one escaped prisoner has died and 3 others are on the run in the U.S. state of Mississippi. Details in a moment. Deeply concerned about the rising murder rate across Trinidad and Tobago and had formulated a violent crime reduction plan of which he had a copy. He said the plan focuses on, among other things, dismantling criminal gangs, seizing illegal firearms, eradicating drug blocks, precision policing, and increasing focus on transnational organized crime. Minister Hines added that the plan aims to achieve a 20% reduction of homicides and a 30% detection rate. A gun amnesty is not on government's agenda at this time. However, the police service will be given the resources necessary to carry out its work. Minister of National Security Fitzgerald Hines made the disclosure while in the House of Representatives on Wednesday afternoon. Minister Hines said focus will be placed on dismantling criminal gangs and seizing illegal firearms. He said during the urgent question period in Parliament that the TTPS will also concentrate on making inroads in areas described as hotspots.
Minister, given the proliferation of gun violence in this area, will you be willing to recommend a gun amnesty to allow illegal guns to be taken off the streets and destroyed?
I have just taken great pains to outline what the Trinidad and Tobago Police Services plan in dealing with this issue is concerned. My own view as to whether I would recommend a gun amnesty is a matter for other considerations. What I'm focused on is to make sure and support in terms of resources and in every possible way the plan as determined for the purpose by the police service, led by the police commissioner.
The government says it stands willing and ready to meet with the opposition to discuss matters relating to crime. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley says he is open to discussing the topic with the opposition on such an important national topic. However, Dr. Rowley said his meeting with the United National Congress is based on the UNC changing its previous style of functioning during such sessions held with it in the past. Dr. Rowley said once the UNC does not come with obstruction and support the government, it remains open for dialogue. Recently, the National Transformation Alliance political leader Gary Griffith called for differences between the government and the UNC to be put aside and to work with each other on the issue of crime. Meanwhile, Dr. Rowley said he has very good reasons not to meet with former Police Commissioner Gary Griffith as chairman of the National Security Council of Trinidad and Tobago under any circumstances. His response came after Prime Minister Dr. Rowley was asked by Member of Parliament for Naparima, Rodney Charles, whether he would consider Mr. Griffith's request to meet with him and the opposition to discuss crime matters.
Madam Speaker, as chairman of the National Security Council of Trinidad and Tobago, I have very good reasons not to meet with Gary Griffith under any circumstances. And in so far as meeting with the opposition is concerned, I meet with them all the time in this chamber, in front of you, Madam Speaker, and they have obstructed every single attempt we had to fight crime in this country. In the event that the opposition intends to change its course and support the government in crime fighting as the country's opposition in this chamber, out of this chamber, the government always stands ready so to do.
Watson Duke believes he and the Progressive Democratic Patriots still remain relevant in the political arena in spite of the several members of the executive leaving the PDP and forming a new entity. Mr. Duke, speaking during an interview on the afternoon Power Drive program on Power 102 Digital on Wednesday afternoon, gave details of how the PDP was formed and impact it had, the split which took place in the party, and the upcoming Tobago House of Assembly and local government election. He said moving forward, the PDP is ready for the polls. Mr. Duke said there are many people who are feeling the effects of the economic challenges being experienced in the country, but creativity and innovation has been demonstrated by individuals.
Well, the PDP is ready for any and every election. I've said it before, and I wish to repeat. Every and any election that comes, we are prepared for it. I am firmly of the belief that the Tobago House of Assembly elections and the Trinidad local government elections would take place on the same date. So what the Prime Minister did when he said to file the call elections, he's simply putting him on guard. He's going to use the Parliament to press the reset button, and both elections are going to be on the same date.
You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. One escaped prisoner has died and 3 others are on the run in the U.S. state of Mississippi. Escapee Dylan Arrington, 22, is believed to have murdered a man and stolen his truck. On Wednesday, police said Arrington's body was found in a burned building in the city of Carthage. The 4 suspects were found missing during a routine head count at the Raymond Detention Center near Jackson on Sunday, according to authorities. Finally, here is weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago, partly cloudy to cloudy conditions with a few light or moderate showers over a few areas. There's a low chance of the heavy shower or isolated thunderstorm, mainly during the afternoon. Nighttime will be mostly settled despite a few isolated showers. Look out for a forecast maximum temperature of 31 degrees Celsius, both at Piarco International Airport and Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, it is 26 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 25 degrees Celsius with rainfall at Crown Point, Tobago. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, Minister of National Security Fitzgerald Hines says he's been given a violent crime reduction plan prepared by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley says he's willing to meet with the opposition on crime once it is serious, but not with Gary Griffith. Watson Duke believes he and the Progressive Democratic Patriots still remains relevant in the political arena. And 1 escaped prisoner has died and 3 others are on the run in the U.S. state of Mississippi. I'm Avril Sintil-Bab. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon today and an update coming your way at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right, it's 9 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock. Thank you so much for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show. It is the second hour. Thank you, AV, for our major news. Of course, we also have a news brief coming up at 8 o'clock. did I say if he said major news at 7? News brief is at 8. There we go. All right. And of course, major news again at 9. Taking a look at what's happening traffic wise out of Dago. Not as heavy as it usually is. You'll get some traffic heading towards Crystal Stream, but after the 4 roads, it's just some volume. Can't see the same out of Maraval and Mocha, heavy towards the roundabout. Going up Lady Young Road from Mova Junction, it's got a little bit of traffic, but heavy out towards the walkover. Lower Santa Cruz is also heavy. Let's head down east, see what's happening down that neck of the woods. Coming out to La Joquita is heavy, Piaco to Yui. Ibis Gardens towards Uriah Butler and QREP and the Churchill Roosevelt Highway also got some traffic there this morning. Piaco towards Yui and then Valsain to Port of Spain, you've got traffic. Rivulet Road heading towards Point Lisa, Vancouver. San Fernando, the creek's a bit busy, but lighter than usual. You'll get some traffic as you head out of San Fernando up towards Claxton Bay area, and then you'll get traffic again from Charlieville towards the interchange. That's a quick traffic update for you. Hope that helped you out in one way or the other. Getting some more votes here. Carol Guevara, Richie Rich says yes. Trini Jam, morning to you, Trini Jam. No to the poll. And Duke Street West. Okay, you didn't vote Duke Street West. Okay, wanted you to vote. Right, so that's it here. All right. The results. I don't know if Richie Rich is there to give us the results.
Well, the poll this morning was, do you think that the new TTPS violent crime reduction plan will achieve its 20% reduction in murders and 30% detection rate, its detection rate being increased to 30%? We had roughly 19 people voting in the allotted time. Of the 19 people, 16 of you said no, you do not think it will achieve those statistics. 3 of you said yes, you were optimistic and you were hopeful. So 16-3, 19 people in all voted in the allotted time. Of course, you can continue to vote on this poll throughout the day through our programming, and we'll give you the final results tomorrow morning, which will be Friday.
Friday. Thank God it's Friday. That's tomorrow. Even though this morning I woke up and I thought it was Friday.
Somebody might wake up and say, oh, it's Friday because they're listening.
Interesting interchange between Dr. Rowley and Rodney. I almost say Rodney King, Rodney Charles yesterday.
You're not getting anything.
Well, I'm gonna fix that now. You're not hearing that?
No, you have to put the volume on.
No.
Yeah, I'm seeing the video, but I'm not hearing the
Let me fix it and get it back to you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Yeah. Where she said that she's not interested in Gary Griffith's offer to sum it up, you know.
He's not interested in
Gary Griffith's offer to help.
For the Prime Minister?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know? Which I think is, I don't know, I just think he was very cryptic. He's very cryptic in his response. You know? He said as head of the National Security Council, he's not interested in working with Guy Griffiths, which to me, there's an implication that, well, I know something that you all don't know. You understand?
Yep.
And if that's the case, and if that's the case, something has to be so profound that he doesn't want to be associated, which has a kind of implication to it.
Yeah, and to me,
but I think needs further explanation.
Yeah, to me, if it's something so profound, It should be actioned.
Yeah. Well, he can action if well, I'm going to say take it a step further, but I don't even want to add that to the conversation because that wasn't said. You understand? Yeah, but I mean, I think if it's so profound because you reference your role as chairman of the National Security Council, which means it involves national security in some way.
That was the implication, yeah.
Yeah, so, and if it's so profound that you don't want to be associated with Gary Griffith in that regard, I think the public deserves a little more explanation than that. You know? So, I don't know. It's just very, all very telling to me. But I think we deserve a more fulsome explanation. So, never a dull moment. I see Reginald Dumas has also now commented on the former head of the public service on Farley Augustine's utterance, telling the Prime Minister to mind his quote unquote mind his damn business, and saying that, you know, that utterance could kind of torpedo Tobago autonomy, the Tobago autonomy talks or progress or bill. Because at the end of the day, is the government has to bring that to Parliament, not so? But to me, that also has an implication that, well, a spat with Farley Augustine may have some impact on Dr. Rowley thinking wider than just a spat and in the interest of Tobago, and I'm not sure that is absolutely true. If that is what Mr. Dumas meant, I could be wrong.
I'll agree with you on that, in that if it is, at least I think the Prime Minister's lens is larger than...
It should be larger.
Just a personal relationship issue with Farley Augustine. If it's a personal relationship thing, because I don't know if it is, but...
But as I said earlier on, before you joined us, I think given that Dr. Vaness James and people like Dr. Vaness James and Hootridge and other elders in Tobago clearly intonated some level of support for Farley Augustine while he was campaigning and while the PDP, under the rubric of the PDP campaigning for Tobago as a new source of hope for Tobago politics. That with these kinds of utterances about the licensing department and the Prime Minister should mind his own business, they're very silent, you know? And their silence is palpable given their outright support for Mr. Augustine, which is fine, because, I mean, new personalities and entities in politics to me is always a good thing in our politics, so it evolves. And I still think Mr. Augustine has great potential, but, I mean, these utterances speak to me to a political naivety or inexperience that you feel you have to answer people in that way. You understand? As somebody who is holding a significantly important position as Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly. So I don't know that the Assembly's business may not be constitutionally Dr. Rowley's purview, and it's not in that way. But as Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, what happens in Tobago should be of concern to Dr. Rowley as Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. You understand? It's not that he could ignore what's happening in Tobago. And I see that on the context that I understand that Dr. Rowley is also a politician and leader of a political party aspiring to regain control of the Assembly. So there's a political element to Dr. Rowley's statement, in my opinion, yes. But you can't tell the Prime Minister.
But Paul, it was clearly political, because in the sense that he said to Farley Augustine and team basically call an election. And you have
my point is, Dr. Rowley,
you have no mandate. Basically, I'm paraphrasing, but basically you have no mandate.
Yeah.
As a new whatever entity that you call
political entity. Yeah. So
that's different. Yeah. You know, that's different. That's obviously a political statement.
Yeah, that's a political statement. Well, as I said before,
a statement from a Prime Minister that is not commenting directly on that, but saying, for example, something vague like, I hope that the THA can, you know, come to some level of stability and resolve its issues, blah, blah, blah. That's different.
Yeah. Well, as I said earlier in the week, clearly it is Dr. Rowley's hope and ambition that the PNM regains ground in some way in Tobago. And
Well,
the only way
but
to
it
do
gives
that
them
is through a future election.
well, right, and it gives them the advantage because any turmoil in our ruling party gives the other an advantage.
Yeah.
And so I could see that it is. I mean, from wearing a political hat, yes, you would want them to call a new election.
Of course.
Because you will think that your team has a better chance.
But you don't want to stay at one seat.
At one seat, exactly.
That's not the productive engagement for you, particularly since you've ruled Tobago for so long in such a profound way.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And the ambition from politicians is always to get into power. Or to have more power, or to have more authority, you know?
Yep.
But I think, as I said before, I think the issue here is that Father Augustine has some growing to do in the rule. And the mind your business response or clapback, as they say, it's clearly also clapback. You know, you stay where you is there and deal with your issues. And
there are ways you could say that can be more eloquently put and still be
send the message.
Still send the message.
So still send the message that this have nothing to do with you constitutionally.
Yeah.
We are duly elected. We are duly elected. We cut your tail and we will stay here as long as we have the legislative mandate to do so, the constitutional mandate to do so. Not so?
Yeah. Well, that's still kind of raw, but I think a clever use of words.
That's my
cleverer use of words in situations like that can often be more impactful than raw.
Well, there's an articulation statesman use. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
You know, so, but it's always pointedly political because I said before, the then PDP and now. Well, Mr. Augustine and his colleagues, but because the TPP didn't win an election in Tobago, the members of the TPP won their seats in the Assembly's election. So they are constitutionally, legally sound on that, and they know that. So we'll see how it goes. But it's all politics kind of thing. That statement by the thank you, Wendell. Wendell, so a typo. That statement by, is it a pundit?
Yes, it was a pundit. He was referred to as a pundit. Let me say that he was referred to as a pundit in the news item I saw last night because they did show it. There was an interview on it. Well, not an interview. More of a news item on it.
That quote unquote, and I'm paraphrasing. They can't paraphrase it, quote unquote, but that Indians are under attack in Iran West. That's what he said basically, right?
I don't want to misquote him, but because I mean, you don't have the clip, do you?
No, I don't.
Okay.
But I'll look for it.
Because it'll be interesting for you to play the clip. But basically, I don't know if it's in newspapers. If it's in the newspapers, then maybe I could actually quote him directly. What did he say exactly? He talked about the East-West corridor and miscreants from the East-West corridor, and he did infer the race issue. He didn't say it blatantly, like, you know.
Well, when you say East,
he said urban youth. He used the word urban. He used the word urban.
The subtext to me.
The subtext was clear. No, the subtext was clear.
Is race baiting.
Yeah, the subtext was clear.
That's what I get from it, and it's really unfortunate. Okay. Because people from all ethnicities are under attack from crime in this country generally.
He was particularly talking about Aranguez.
Yeah, I know.
But in the context of Trinidad, interestingly enough,
I don't know that there haven't been people from other ethnicities attacked in Aranguez also.
Okay, it will be in the TNT Garden because I think it was CNC3. Because you also had in that news item, which I don't know if you saw it, Paul, there was another guy, an Indo-Trinidadian guy.
I saw it online.
on the outside quarreling, seemingly like quarreling with him, and saying, "Oh, you're trying to indicate it's the race factor," and he said, "But it's people that look like me that sometimes bringing them in to do the jobs and do whatever it is they're doing in terms of home invasions. So you can't say it's one race." It seemed as if he was quarreling with him. There is an article on it actually, so let me see if
It's a rather unfortunate statement from
Yeah,
someone who's described as a
yeah.
pundit.
And they do have the guy was quarreling back here too.
Steve, in the meantime, we could open the phone lines, and the numbers are 222-TALK, 222-8255, 612-8255. North Americans, toll free, 866-525-1099.
So let me give you a little context of what took place. Pundit Satyanand Maharaj believes that urban youth along the east-west corridor are targeting people of East Indian descent in Arangwe, Sanwa, and across the country.
So what does urban youth mean?
This is a direct quote here now. I say that boldly. They are products of a failed education system. They are products of failed parenting, the miscreants of the east-west corridor who feel that what you have belongs to them, even if the statistics say 3 were killed in Charlo village and 1 was killed here, they all have the same complexion. They all come from the same ethnic group, he said during a media conference to address crime in Arangwes yesterday.
Well, then that is blatantly racist.
Yes.
And let him couch him words no more. It is blatantly racist and disgusting.
He made the claim mere meters away from where businessman Shavel Ramjatan was murdered just over a week ago by bandits who were attempting to rob him. It continues, this is a direct quote. Arangwes has been under duress, not today. It has been growing steadily. A lot of the business people that you see have been held up at their homes. Arangwes is like a ghost town in the night. Nobody walks the road, he said. He said the criminals think East Indians have money because of the size of their houses. And while he did not have official statistics to corroborate his claims, he said the victims usually describe the attackers. The crime in Arangwes is against East Indian people because we live in Arangwes. We are the ones being targeted, but the perpetrators are not East Indian. The urban youth, the miscreants of the East-West corridor, those who have been allowed to fall through the cracks of society and emerge post-pubescent to terrorize because they're going and look for a little change to give their mother because their mother have 14 and 15 children. They didn't show all of that on Newsline.
Wow.
All right, we do have a call, gentlemen, so let's grab it. Been on hold for a while. Good morning.
Now, let me just advise the callers. I know I'm highly offended by what he said, but let's not respond in the same way, please.
President Abdul Hakim immediately challenged the pundit, saying his statements were untrue and racist. You can't say it's only one set of people doing the crime because they have people inside here who bringing in people, and it's people like myself, East Indian, who bring in people here to do the crime. So when you're blaming one urban color for doing the crime, you're talking nonsense. We are not here for that, Hakim said, because it was obviously some kind of town gathering of something.
If we have problems in this country.
So we saw both.
All right, gentlemen, I have a call here for the longest while on hold, so let's grab it. Good morning.
Hello, Steve. Thanks for taking my call. This is Linda.
Hi, Linda. Morning.
Hi, Linda. Comment on the most beautiful story I saw in the Newsday today online, and it is the NCRHA running a free pet spa in honor of World Veterinary Day. And it's some beautiful pictures, and it really highlights the positive things that so many positive people in Trinidad do, in spite of being dogged by all the crime and all the adversity and all the difficulties. So I really want to say, NCRHA, congratulations. You know, it's not often that you get the opportunity to say congrats to a government agency, but this is one such occasion. I really do believe if more children grew up with pets, there would be more empathy, violence in the society.
All right.
And on a related note, Steve, I don't know if you're familiar with a lady called Gina at the TSPCA.
Yes, I do.
Right. I've known Gina all my life, but I never know her surname because you just know her as Gina. But she's the most selfless,
Yeah, she's at Vinmar Clinic in
caring.
Belmont.
Okay. Well, I'm not in Trinidad, but I know they're taking nominations for national awards. And I really wish that if anybody agrees with me, please nominate Gina for Order of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago because she really exemplifies what service is. Whether you have a pampered pedigree pooch or it's a mongrel that somebody found on the highway, she treats all animals
She
with
treats
love
all
and
evenly. I
compassion.
have actually found animals and given to Gina, and which were eventually
Yes.
adopted. So
Gina
thank
is
you.
just the most beautiful
Yeah,
soul,
she
and
doesn't
she
know how to
is
say
just,
no. Thank you. Thank you, Linda.
yes.
All righty.
So, yes, please, if you can, nominate her.
Thank you for the information,
Order
Linda.
of the Republic. Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right,
Have a great
Linda,
day.
from across the pond.
Steve, is it
Paul,
World Veterinary Day?
I actually said it. I was to check
I
yesterday.
saw something came up on my feed yesterday. I thought you would have been Okura.
Yeah, yes, it was
Is
out.
it World Veterinarians or Veterinary Day or something like that?
Okay, just now. We have a call. Paul, this call is for you.
Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning, Zena.
I want to offer a constructive criticism.
Mm-hmm.
I've been lying here since your 6 o'clock, since your start. You think that we could when it's like two of you alone, you could take a one or two calls to get into the topic that you're discussing. So you go from one topic to the next, one topic to the next, and I think sometimes we could offer a suggestion in between that. You don't have to open the lines for a long time. But it's not easy to lie down and hear you two discuss until the other late one who should be tired, come in and then start a new discussion and be listening. I must drop asleep sometimes. I want to open my mouth sometimes and say some things. And I would like to suggest that one of the mornings you could just open the lines and ask us for suggestions, what we think, how we think.
Okay, so what do you think about our discussion so far?
Gary Griffith. We could try to be a little positive sometimes. And I'm saying that being positive is like how we could offer suggestions, like what do you think? Because I said something the other day and all I want to know if I live in here. Because somewhere, somehow, we have to get these youths who are not working off the streets. And like yesterday, and I am saying, do they have, I want to know from, if somebody from the police could call and ask, do they have interrogations? Because if you hold 4 youths, you have to tell me everybody mouth clamp up. Where are the guns coming from? And I talk about gun amnesty already. I would hope that they could come up with that. And after that, you get real drastic. Because something has to happen. There are too many illegal guns. And by people suggesting let everybody who qualify get a gun can't make sense. We'll just have more and more guns out there, and the criminals would know that. So it's now they're coming in your house when take you unawares to get the guns. So I am suggesting that the government work at that part of it right away. Try and find out from the youth where are these guns coming from, and get them off the street. You understand? So that man whose name is the deceased Satmaraj, I think it couldn't be more racist. And I'll tell you what, a lot of them think that way. That's why for the past 2 or 3 days I've been talking direct to Mr. Penal, because he keeps saying it's to kill all of them and send them back home to the family in a box. And I know what he means by that, because I've been following his trend of conversation and what he's been saying, and that can't be the answer. Right? I'll come back in again. Let somebody else call. Thank you.
Thank you, Zena.
Morning.
Morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
There was a nurse on the news stating that her nurses is working temporary and they're not getting benefits. And she said, some like kudos to the international nurses or something like that. But I was a surgical assistant in America and I was working permanent. But on documents, it was temporary to avoid paying to get free health care and stuff like that. But all you have to do is to take out a medical insurance. So she pays in America and she probably don't know what she's talking about. I was working permanent, but on document I was temporary, and that is what happened here. So they can't be watching America and bashing Trinidad and don't know what they're talking about.
Thank you.
I'm not so sure what I was about. I'm not so sure. Do you all know? I'm not so sure what I was about.
No. World Veterinary Day is the last Saturday of April, guys.
So it's Saturday coming then?
Yes. 29th, I think, yeah.
Yeah. It's also the day when this little piggy, and of course...
And don't miss a
you know,
cue
a piggy is an animal.
A piggy is an animal, yeah.
It's an animal. So this little piggy is tired. It will be on World Veterinarian Day. So, just be aware at Cipriani College.
And go and support the piggy on World Veterinary Day.
Yes. Absolutely.
And make sure and not eat the piggy, but watch the piggy.
Mm-hmm.
And
watch the piggy get tired.
And watch the piggy get tired. So, yeah, that pundit, as he's described, is blatantly racist, offensive to the max. And it's just frustrating that this country generally, I think most people in this country embrace and respect each other, but there are some who will persist in their racist and divisive mindset and utterances and use any opportunity of national crisis to proffer their basic core philosophy. Because if that's your philosophy generally, you will see everything through that lens, unfortunately.
Well, it'll be interesting to have a conversation with that pundit, if we could get him on.
I guess.
Yeah.
Have a conversation and why you would have said...
Remember, one of the... I'm from the East-West corridors. I'm from, so I may be one of the miscreants to which he's referring. From the failed school system that we fall through the cracks and, and we attack specific people. So I don't know if he wanted to be in the same show with somebody like me, who's from the East, from urban of a particular complexion, is what he said?
Yeah, he did.
Right. So I think I qualify in all his... I think I qualify in all his, or most of his...
But you fell through the cracks?
Well,
let me just give the numbers again. 222-8255.
I had to pause myself there. I had to pause myself there.
866-525-1099.
The cracks, but I mean, I qualify in other ways. I'm urban, black.
You're miscreant.
That's correct. Well, some may describe me as that. So miscreant may be subjective and descriptive, but So I may not qualify it based on his extensive description. You understand? Of a particular quadrant of society.
Yeah.
I apologize to him for my very existence. Look, I had to restrain myself. Yes, let me tell you. I had to restrain that. So the numbers are open. We spoke about crime earlier on. And we spoke about the TTPS Violent Crime Reduction Plan, which has a target of 20% reduction in murders and 30% detection rate. I've really not heard anything new that the plan is planning to achieve. maybe there are unspoken approaches to achieving this. The plan focuses on, among other things, dismantling criminal gangs. We've heard that before, which is productive. Seizing illegal firearms, that is productive. Eradicating drug blocks. Precision policing, and increasing focus on transnational organized crime. So all that has been proffered before. Maybe there, Mrs. Christopher Harewood and her team have another approach to achieving those objectives. And they put some targets. First, she said June coming up yesterday, but I think she's revised that statement of reduction. Or maybe it's amalgamated into this new plan. 20% reduction in murders and 30% detection rate. In other words, increasing detection rate, which can also lead to reduction in murders and other violent crimes. So we see if Mrs. Christopher Harewood and her team are able to achieve these goals, much to the benefit of all in Trinidad and Tobago citizens and visitors and guests.
By June?
Well, did they give a time plan for a time frame for
Well,
this?
I know a couple of weeks ago she reiterated by June.
Okay, well, 2 months, 8 weeks?
So now I don't know if the crime plan, this current crime plan actually indicates that.
No, well, we didn't have sight of it, so.
Yeah, we don't know what are the target timelines.
Yeah.
Because you can't have a target unless you have a timeline.
But you should.
Trying to get a number for Pandit Maharaj. So
Then you're just wasting paper. You're killing trees.
Mm-hmm.
If you're saying my target is
maybe
for
it's
a 40% reduction in crime, but by 2073 you might as well apologize to the tree and plant 10 more.
Good morning.
That matters not.
Good morning, gentlemen.
You gotta have a timeline. That makes sense.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You mentioned something just though. Let me give you a quick short story. I told someone I would pay them $1 million if they don't if somebody put a mic to the face and they don't say the word R. The response was, "Oh, I'm drinking barley juice." So I turned and I said, "Well, listen, I don't vote, and I didn't say I was a PNM. How I'm drinking barley juice?" The next response was, "Oh, I'm a R worshipper." Guess who was speaking about? And that is the person who wanted to talk to Dr. Rowley. So Dr. Rowley right to say he don't want to get in touch with him. Anyhow, the next speech he did the other day, asking that he want to join up with Dr. Rowley and somebody else, I respond, "Good job. Stay low, keep calm, be approachable, and see if it will work out." He have a deep hate. He have a bank truck. So I don't blame Dr. Rowley for not getting involved in that nonsense.
Thank you, Mr. David.
Okay.
I don't know. So much trouble in the world.
Well, yeah. I find not many people are calling in about what this pundit said.
Yeah, well, I find him highly offensive, that pundit. Highly offensive.
Yeah.
And would you consider pundit a religious leader?
Of course he is.
Right. And for a religious leader to be making such divisive and racist and offensive comments is astounding to me. But, you know, as I said before, what's inside will always come out. And people who are of that mindset and basic philosophy will look at everything that's happening in society through that lens. So, what's inside of them will always come out. So we said people have a certain complexion. People from the East-West Corridor.
Aranguez is part of the East-West Corridor.
And maybe he's talking about the other parts of the East-West Corridor.
Yeah. So, but Aranguez is part of the East-West Corridor. So
you know,
you're part of that geographic space.
I bet the works for Aranguez again.
But he's talking about urban youth. He says urban youth.
Problematic. Because I am black.
And he's saying that particularly East
Hi.
Indians are being
You see, thing Richard, that statement thing is where it funds, you see it in Rwanda, it funds ethnic emotions. And yes, it looks this way, and again, But I remember in my cocaine days, Aranguez is where you went for your cocaine.
You remember in your what days?
Cocaine days. The days of cocaine, Naya, in Kedana, back at Kedana. So we could all go tit for tat and point fingers at people. I had a pass, you know. I had a very adventurous pass.
Thank you for your candor.
And you could point fingers at this one and that one, at who did this and who doing that. And I know I was robbed 5 times in my life.
You know, I told you the other day your song Mellow and Richard laugh at me. Remember the other day I tell you a song and like a mellow dude and Richard laugh at me. I pick up nuances in voice, you know.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you go down that road, we end up in Rwanda and we will end up in Guyana. And
No, we won't, you know, because people like him are fortunately a minority in this country.
Well, I hope I will.
We are. He is a minority. That most of the Trinidadians I interact with on a daily basis for the last couple of decades are not of that mindset.
No.
Yeah, and I think if we go into these conversations, we have to go into it very soberly and articulate it very, because we could say, and I can remember telling a friend that, you know, that the people that pull the gun on you, it looked this way, but it never made me think differently about the approach of this thing, because I understand that there's a wide geographical and people implicated in this whole thing. And if we want to speak and pigeonhole certain things because it's affecting you physically, we will speak in one monotone voice, but then we will miss out the other aspects, because he wouldn't ask that pundit about that same historical space. We know geographically there are spaces that have particular issues and stuff and histories and things, and you could point it out. When your car was stolen, you had to go a particular place to look for your car. That place has been gentrified to a certain extent. I know in my community there are certain spaces I could have gone to get certain things, and the people who were selling it look a specific way. And you could go down that route, and that route is, but as we all know, what we have to talk to, and we could say that Pastor Lalu, it's not Pastor Dutton has always said, for this thing to operate, it takes a lawyer, a businessman, a politician, and a policeperson. So if we take that into stride and into context, we know who we're dealing with. And if we deal with it, we have to deal with it from a whole group and a national.
No, there is something, your partner. You see, if you're racist, you could bounce it to any road. You'll blame somebody from another ethnicity for that.
Right, and we had to call out the racists in our communities.
Mm-hmm. We do.
And we have to call them out, but educate them that if you want to speak, let me speak about it. And I think maybe if we have to speak about point fingers at one group rather than not pointing fingers at ourselves. That's what I was saying, Paul Richard, is we are very much a damaged country in that sense of corruption and how people speak about the corrupted and where we have reached and what we have done doing corrupted means, and we are all implicated. When our song is this song, we all thief, all of we thief, we have to accept that. Trinidadians have accepted corruption as a part of our life, but what we have not accepted and feeling horrors is the particular violence that we're seeing it and feeling it, and it's really close and it hurts you, and we're looking at a person and we profiling it in one way, and we just want to get rid of that. And once we can get rid of that, we back to our normal thieving self. And that is the problem, because it will pop up down the line. Because if you say, okay, Commissioner, we're going to hit everybody, and you do your hit, and you do your lockup, and you do your thing, but we're not dealing with the other aspects of the criminal mind and the criminal lifestyle that we have. Squatting. All the thing about anybody could go in your land now, people going. All my friends who own land, somebody just on your land, then they threaten you. In Blanchisha, has five people gone because of a land argument. Police wasn't even able to do anything about it, and so there's violence. There's violence straight through, but nobody ain't talking about that, and all those.
But that kind of talk is also a kind of violence, because what it does is it fans the flames of division, and
Yeah,
then
that's
the
exactly.
cancer that is racism, because racism is a cancer that spreads, when
That's what I
malignant
said.
people like that,
The-
propagate information and misinformation like that, I should say, and they fan the flames of division in the country, and he is a religious leader, so you can imagine what he's telling his congregants.
Exactly, but that's the thing. In Rwanda, in Rwanda, that ethnic rivalry started by a priest and two radio hosts. Is two radio media people and some priests created that whole genocide, and it started from there. And in Guyana, it's politics push the thing and all that kind of. So when we see these people speaking, I don't think that I get shut down fast. So we have to speak to it in a way. We have to speak to our issues articulately. And,
Yep. That's I totally agree with you there, Dean, because how the problem of crime cannot be seen through a race lens because it affects all of us, and because there's a combination of people, whether you're looking at the white collar crime come down, which is what you were suggesting, there are all manner of colors and corruption. Corruption has no color, and corruption feeds the crime that eventually emanates on the ground with whoever is holding the gun at you or who's doing the home invasion, etc., etc. So we have to be blind to that and just deal with the problem and what are the problems in the society that needs to be fixed to bring the crime rate down. And I know they always say that crime is a complex issue, and it starts with and I believe it really starts with the education system. And it starts there because the education system is the one that has to rebalance whatever messages that people are getting from dysfunctional homes. That's where it has to be rebalanced because you can't go into every single dysfunctional home. You can't.
right, and at this moment, but that dysfunctionality of a man and a young man picking up a gun between a certain age is encouraged by a businessman of a certain age who is also disassociated, has no empathy, lack of certain morals and ethics, and he's deficient and dysfunctional in a particular way because he's profiting on a certain amount of mayhem. He knows that he's passing something, and the guy who sells and brings in allows and they say I closed my eyes, it's not me, I wasn't there. They're about 2 steps away, but they allow the drugs and the guns to come. They know there's drugs and guns, and they're allowing it to come through. I'm a custom officer, and I ain't have no problem with that. I get my little money, and I pay, and I go in and take a look. He also is disassociated and has a certain amount of dysfunction in his life. The thing, so. But the thing is, we just focusing at one end, but they are all dysfunctional to a certain degree.
Yep.
And the one who pulling a trigger and taking life and coming in physically to something, that's a hell of a thing to do. I didn't even know, but I see the guys. I walk down the street, went down. They look, they're standing on the street selling and thinking, and all of them have died. Niam gets shut down in Niam gets shut down in St. James or something. So all of them lived a certain thing. And this one running, the other one running, the one with the used car. So there's a certain amount of, and then the politician and then the corporate and the business, because this cartel thing, as Dr. Figaro will speak of, these guys don't come on no pirogue. These guys come in with planes, and they land, and they go through customs, and they go and they hang out in hotels, and they drive specific types of cars, and so that's business. They're business people. They look and they carry, and they might be in certain homes in this country, and so let's get a very clear understanding. And like I say, this one pick out one aspect, and I know but I understand the emotional pain because they're under attack because Indo business persons seem to have certain success, they're feeling under attack, they're under pressure, and when we're under pressure is when fascism rises. And that is the problem with the countries who facing real pressures that they take totality. That's why when Gary was popular because, and everybody was, take it to the criminals, so I will take us, and then you get totalitarian laws, and then you get thing, and then you end up in a certain space that you said you don't want to be, but you end up being there because you were emotionally afraid. And you accepted us.
We just have to call people like that for what it is, and that's the way forward. Call racist. That's basically you have to call a racist, and he's a racist. No two ways about it.
Well, he's been quite controversial over the years.
Well, as I said before,
I don't know him so much. You know him from before, Steve?
I don't know him, but I heard of him and going. If you do a Google search of his name, there's a list going back.
Okay, people like that have a particular life philosophy and mindset, and they will use any issue in the country to propagate their division through a racist lens, and that's basically what it is. If the sky could be too much rain today, it's because of people on the East-West corridor. Flooding, people on the East. That's his mindset. So you have to call him for what it is, and that's fine.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. If you have a pundit that's thinking that way, what do you think the congregation thinking? Are they thinking the same thing? Is it passing it on? That is this a kind of worm going to be there like that? I remember Penal calling at one time and says only Africans committing crimes. And I had to tell him that crime started with the Pulul brothers in Trinidad and Tobago. So it's not the pundit alone thinking, so it's a lot of them thinking, so they're just dividing the country. It's sad. But somebody needs to pull him up and talk to him. I can't be preaching that up there, man. Just imagine what they just be talking in the church or the whatever you call the building that is being. It's very sad.
You see,
Thank you.
Be careful with the way we say things we say. And I hate to hear about them and they. That just drops me the wrong way.
Morning.
Good morning, Diego Martin. How are you?
Morning, gentlemen. I'm good. Steve, I want to come and drop that dog food for you. Well, I can't. I was trying to see if I could bring it during, but when you finish, you remain there or you go home?
No, I'm here.
You be there after the show?
Yeah.
Oh, because it's not like
terrorize people.
I go and I terrorize AV and Paul and Ruben.
Terrorize people.
And the entire department. I
right.
Terrorize them all the time.
All right. If I can't make it between today and tomorrow, I'll come Saturday.
You could always leave it here, if you don't want to make a trip. You can always leave it at the office. I'll get it.
All right. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Steve Khan, I heard you talk about mass shooting yesterday in the U.S. Is that the one that happened in Mississippi? That is the most recent one?
I believe it's that one, yeah. I usually have the television on in the mornings, and I'm putting around and I take a listen.
Yeah, because when I saw it, I started doubting myself. I said,
it wasn't yesterday. It was day before.
Yes, and they showed the guy. If you see this elderly man, I said, but wait, the mass shooters getting older? What the hell going on in the U.S.? Oh, God, all you keep that day. Sorry, Wendell not there, because I wanted to find
He's listening, though. He's on, but not on.
All right. This thing with this hobo and this poultry and this plucking thing, is that really in the beatum? That really happened? Because I am saying if that really was the police break up a plucking ring in the beatum, how come that didn't make headline news? These people health you're talking about, and all the newspapers go have mind your damn business. That what they telling Dr. Rowley, and that's all you want to put on all your front page. This more important. My God, people going that way me to buy meat in the market, all I buy is fish. But, oh God, man, this thing is crazy. So a friend sent that for me quite in the States and asking me, that she was, well, give me, right? And I want to say, Dr. Rowley, you're damn right not to want to have no talk with Gary Griffith. Who is he? For he to go and run him out. You're right. Have it with the opposition leader once she's serious, because all the things in Parliament where things could be passed, all you're making a fun of it, and now you're coming talking about crime plan. What happened? She changed her mind. It's country now before party. Oh, all right. You'll have a blessed day.
I thought that Kobo thing was, they said that it wasn't in Trinidad. Didn't Wendell say that? That people were suggesting that that wasn't in Trinidad?
I don't know. I hearing about, and this is why I'm asking Wendell, because people saying, and you're hearing them talking like Trinidadians. Boy, I don't know. You know how they just bring things. They just find we have enough crime, and they just like to import crime from abroad. So that's why I'm asking Wendell, seeing he belongs
He'll
to
answer you tomorrow for sure.
He will know, because, that is madness.
Yeah.
Thank you to those of you on our streams. Thank you for the call. And those of you on our streams, our stream ends right now. News is next.
Lock these savings at Furniture Plus. Shop and save big on Serta, Sealy, and Therapeutic mattresses. Plus, get $1,600 off Sealy adjustable base. Accessories also available. Check press and social media for details.
Hey! Trinidad and Tobago is a steel band jam and party in the village. Yes, Hardcore Phase 2 presents Desper Steel Orchestra, Republic Band Exodus, and Hardcore Phase 2 Pangrove with Dr. Len Bugsisha. And the party is with me, yours truly, Mr. Q. It all happens at 13 Hamilton Street in Woodbrook, starting time 8 p.m. Admission is only $60, so see and be there. And the date, the 29th of April, 2023. Hey! Phase 2, we coming! We coming!
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Pundit Satyanand Maharaj believes that urban youth along the east-west corridor are targeting people of East Indian descent in Aranguez, San Juan, and across the country. He said the perpetrators are products of a failed education system and a failed parenting. He said they all have the same complexion and they all come from the same ethnic group. He made the comments during a media conference to address crime in Aranguez yesterday. He made the claim mere meters away from where businessman Shival Ramjatan was murdered just over a week ago by bandits who were attempting to rob him. He said the criminals think East Indians have money because of the size of their houses, and while he did not have official statistics to corroborate his claims, he said the victims usually describe their attackers. He said, quote, "The crime in Aranguez is against East Indian people because we live in Aranguez. We are the ones being targeted, but the perpetrators are not East Indian," end quote. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley is satisfied with the performance of his cabinet and ministers, asked specifically whether he's pleased with Minister of National Security Fitzgerald Hines in carrying out his duties. Dr. Rowley said if there is a need to remove or move any minister, he will do what is required. Dr. Rowley dismissed claims institutions of the state are collapsing in their operations. Floods continued for the third consecutive day across Trinidad as heavy rains and thunderstorms continue throughout the country. Though the TNT Meteorological Service discontinued their adverse weather alert yesterday morning, the inclement weather persisted. Flooding from Tuesday night continued across parts of South and East Trinidad, with residents in Sign Village, Penal, and various areas of Sangre Grande still marooned. Though waters gradually subsided in southern Trinidad through the morning yesterday, flooding continued in northeastern Trinidad due to continuous rainfall. The Ministry of Works and Transport will be embarking on over 500 desilting projects throughout the country. Minister of Works and Transport Rohan Sinanan said the record has shown there was 1 month's rain in the past 2 days. Over the past 3 days, the country experienced substantial rainfall, which could have caused flash flooding in areas so prone. In light of the severe floods and distress experienced on Tuesday, Minister Sinanan was asked to indicate what urgent works would commence to ensure the devastation would not reoccur in the days ahead. And U.S. prosecutors say Jack Teixeira, the airman charged with leaking secret military information, may still have access to a trove of classified files. They said he should remain in jail pre-trial as he could cause extraordinary damage to national security. Prosecutors also said the 21-year-old had a history of making violent and racial threats. They will make the case for him to remain behind bars at a detention hearing in Massachusetts on Thursday. Well, that was your update to 8 o'clock. Look out for news in full at 12.